The security guard actually apologized as he took my badge. I didn't blame him, he'd seen me here every day for the past 3 years, often the first to arrive and last to leave. Now he was escorting me out of my own company. "It's okay, Mike," I said, managing a smile. "Just doing your job." I'm Michael Chen, co-founder of NeuraTech Solutions. Or at least I was until about 20 minutes ago when my partner Daniel Brooks decided I was deadweight and used his majority stake to force me out. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so perfect. As I walked to my car in the underground parking garage, I could still hear Daniel's voice echoing in the boardroom. 6 months, Mike. 6 months you've been working on this secret project of yours, with nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, our competitors are leaving us in the dust. He wasn't entirely wrong. Our competitors were surging ahead, especially Quantum Dynamics, who'd been making waves with hints about a revolutionary new AI architecture. Their stock had tripled in the past month on rumors of a major acquisition announcement. What Daniel didn't know was that I knew exactly why. 3 years ago, when Daniel and I founded NeuraTech, we had big dreams and different strengths. He was the charismatic frontman, the one who could charm investors and close deals. I was the technical genius who could actually build what he promised. It worked for a while. We secured good funding, built a solid team, and developed some decent products. But Daniel got greedy. He started promising features we couldn't deliver, taking on contracts we couldn't fulfill. When I objected, he used his connections to dilute my stake in the company, reducing me to a minority shareholder. That's when I started my secret project. While Daniel was busy playing CEO, attending conferences and giving interviews about our company's visionary future, I was quietly building something revolutionary. A new type of neural network architecture that could process complex data streams with unprecedented efficiency. But I didn't build it for NeuraTech. Every night after the office cleared out, I worked on my private laptop, developing the architecture for an anonymous client. A client who understood its true value. A client who happened to be Quantum Dynamics' largest shareholder. "You're distracted, unfocused," Daniel had shouted during our final confrontation. "When was the last time you contributed anything meaningful to this company?" I'd stayed calm, watching him rant. "I've been working on something important, Daniel. Something that could change everything." More excuses. He'd slammed his hand on the table. "I've seen the project logs. You've contributed barely any code for months. You're deadweight and I'm cutting you loose." He was right about the project logs. I hadn't contributed much code to NeuraTech lately. Everything I built went directly to my anonymous client, through encrypted channels that couldn't be traced back to me. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Quantum Dynamics would announce their acquisition of a revolutionary AI architecture. An architecture that would make their neural processing systems 10 times more efficient than anything on the market, including NeuraTech's products. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed. A message from an encrypted number. "Package received. Funds transferred. Press conference scheduled for 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Congratulations." I checked my private banking app. There it was, $200 million transferred to my offshore account. The first payment, with more to come based on implementation milestones. Another message arrived, this one from Sarah, our lead developer. "Mike, what's going on? Daniel's going crazy, ordering us to lock you out of all systems. Says you were working for the competition." I smiled, remembering Sarah's skepticism when Daniel had started taking control. "Stand by," I texted back. "Watch tomorrow's Quantum Dynamics press conference. And maybe update your resume." The next message was from Tom in legal. "This is wrong, Mike. I've worked with you for 3 years. You're the real brains behind everything we've built." "Thanks, Tom," I replied. "Hold that thought until tomorrow." My phone kept buzzing as more messages poured in from the team. They knew me, had worked with me, trusted my technical judgment over Daniel's flashy promises. They were about to learn just how right they were. I drove home to my modest apartment. No flashy cars or expensive suits for me, unlike Daniel. I'd lived simply, focused on the work. Daniel had always mocked my lack of ambition. "You need to think bigger," he'd often said, showing off his new Tesla or designer watch. "This is Silicon Valley, Mike. Image is everything." He was right about one thing: I did need to think bigger. Just not the way he meant. At home, I opened my laptop and logged into a secure server. There it was, my real work for the past 6 months. The neural architecture that would revolutionize AI processing. The same architecture that quantum dynamics had just paid $200 million to acquire. An architecture that, thanks to my careful documentation, could be proven to have been developed entirely on my own time, using my own resources, completely separate from my work at NeuraTech. Daniel had been so busy watching the company project logs, he never thought to consider what I might be building elsewhere. My phone buzzed again. A message from Lisa, my ex-girlfriend who'd left me 6 months ago. Mike just heard what happened. I'm so sorry. I knew focusing on that side project was going to get you in trouble. I laughed softly, remembering our arguments. She'd sided with Daniel, telling me I was wasting my potential, that I needed to be more aggressive, more visible. Thanks, I texted back. Watch the business news tomorrow morning. Then I opened my email and began composing a message to NeuraTech's board of directors. They needed to be prepared for what was coming. Not that they could stop it. You see, tomorrow wouldn't just reveal my success. It would expose Daniel's biggest mistake. 3 months ago, he'd signed a major contract with our biggest client, promising to deliver a neural processing system with unprecedented efficiency. The same level of efficiency that my architecture would now provide exclusively to quantum dynamics. A contract NeuraTech couldn't possibly fulfill without my innovation. A contract with penalties that would bankrupt the company if they failed to deliver. I attached the relevant documents to the email, copies of the contract, technical specifications, and a detailed analysis showing how NeuraTech couldn't meet the requirements with their current technology. Gentlemen, I wrote, in light of today's events, you should be aware of our company's technical situation. I suggest reviewing this information before tomorrow's market opening. I hit send, then poured myself a glass of whiskey, the good stuff I'd been saving for a special occasion. Tomorrow would be interesting. Very interesting indeed. My phone buzzed one final time. Daniel. Whatever you're planning, it won't work. You're finished in this industry. I'll make sure of it. I smiled, remembering all his threats, all his manipulation, all his attempts to take credit for my work while pushing me aside. Watch the morning news, Daniel, I texted back. The ending might surprise you. Then I turned off my phone, sat back in my chair and watched the city lights through my window. In less than 12 hours, everything would change. Not just for me or for Daniel or for NeuraTech. For the entire industry. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting ahead. Way ahead. I arrived at Quantum Dynamics headquarters at 8:30 a.m., just as the media was setting up for the press conference. Nobody paid attention to me in my simple black sweater and jeans. I wasn't exactly dressed like a $200 million tech innovator. That was about to change. My phone had exploded with notifications overnight. The board had received my email. Emergency meetings had been called. Daniel had apparently been screaming at the legal team since 5 a.m., demanding they find some way to claim ownership of my work. Good luck with that. At 8:45, Sarah texted me, Mike, something big is happening. Daniel's having a meltdown in the office. He just saw something about quantum dynamics and started throwing things. What did you do? Turn on the tech news, I replied. And maybe stay away from Daniel's office. The press room was filling up quickly. Tech journalists, industry analysts, and corporate representatives all buzzing with speculation about Quantum's big announcement. Their stock had already jumped another 10% in pre-market trading. At 8:55, I took my seat in the front row, a seat reserved for Chen's special guest. That's when I saw Daniel walk in. He looked terrible, clearly hadn't slept, his expensive suit wrinkled, his usually perfect hair disheveled. He must have gotten wind of something and decided to see for himself. Our eyes met. He froze. Then the room lights dimmed, and Dr. Sarah Zhang, CEO of Quantum Dynamics, took the stage. Good morning, she began, her voice carrying authority earned from 20 years as a tech pioneer. Today, Quantum Dynamics is proud to announce a technological breakthrough that will revolutionize the field of neural network processing. Daniel's face went pale as she continued. For the past 6 months, we've been working with a brilliant innovator who has developed a completely new architecture for AI processing. An architecture that achieves efficiency levels previously thought impossible. The screens behind her lit up with technical specifications, my technical specifications. This morning, I'm pleased to announce that Quantum Dynamics has acquired exclusive rights to this technology for $200 million, with additional performance incentives that could bring the total acquisition to over $500 million. The room erupted in excited murmurs. Daniel started edging toward the door. But more importantly, Dr. Zhang continued, a slight smile playing on her lips, I'd like to introduce you to the architect of this breakthrough. A man who proves that true innovation doesn't always wear a suit or give flashy presentations. That was my cue. I stood up and walked to the stage. The whispers grew louder as people recognized me, especially the tech journalists who'd covered NeuraTech. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Zhang announced, please welcome Michael Chen, creator of the quantum neural architecture. The next hour was a blur of technical presentations, demonstrations, and questions. I explained the basic principles of my architecture, showed practical applications, and laid out the efficiency metrics that made it revolutionary. With each slide, each demonstration, each answered question, I could see Daniel shrinking further into his seat. Because he finally understood what I'd actually been working on during those wasted 6 months. He understood why I'd been so calm when he fired me. And he understood exactly what it meant for NeuraTech. After the presentation, as reporters crowded around with questions, I saw Daniel trying to reach me. Security stopped him. He was on the list of people not to be allowed near me. My phone buzzed again. A message from Tom in legal. By God, Mike. The contract penalties. Without your architecture, we can't possibly meet the specifications. Daniel's lawyers are saying we'll be bankrupt within months. I smiled, remembering Daniel's words from just yesterday. You're dead weight and I'm cutting you loose. Another message, this one from Lisa. Mike? I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry I doubted you. I didn't respond. Some bridges stay burned. Dr. Zhang approached me as the crowd thinned. Well done, Michael. Though I suspect this isn't quite over. He was right. Within hours, Daniel and NeuraTech's lawyers would be desperately searching for ways to claim my innovation. They wouldn't find any. I'd been careful. Every line of code written on my own laptop. Every development milestone documented and time-stamped. Every potential legal loophole closed before I'd even started. What happens to NeuraTech now? Dr. Zhang asked quietly. I showed her the latest stock alert on my phone. NeuraTech shares were down 60% and falling. The market had quickly understood the implications of my architecture being exclusive to quantum. They'll try to survive, I said. But without a way to fulfill that major contract. She nodded, understanding. And the team? Your old colleagues. That made me smile. Check your email. He did, then laughed. A list of NeuraTech's top developers with performance reviews and project histories? Michael, you are ruthlessly thorough. They're good people, I said. They deserve better than what's coming at NeuraTech. Consider them hired, she replied. All of them. By evening, the tech world was still reeling from the announcement. My architecture wasn't just an improvement, it was a fundamental shift in how neural networks could be processed. The applications were endless. Faster AI, more efficient data centers, breakthrough capabilities in everything from medical imaging to climate modeling. And it was all exclusive to quantum dynamics. I was in Dr. Zhang's office, discussing implementation plans when security called. Daniel was in the lobby demanding to see me. Your call, Dr. Zhang said. Should we have him removed? I thought about it. About all his manipulation, his taking credit for others' work, his constant belittling of anyone he thought beneath him. No, I decided. Let him come up. It's time we had an honest conversation. Daniel burst into the office 5 minutes later, his expensive suit now completely disheveled. You planned this, he snarled. You deliberately sabotaged NeuraTech. I stayed seated, calm. No, Daniel. You did that yourself. When you signed contracts promising capabilities you didn't have. When you pushed aside the people who actually built things in favor of those who just talked about building things. We're going bankrupt, he said, his voice cracking. That contract. Without your architecture we can't possibly deliver. The penalties will destroy us. Yes, I agreed. They will. Just like you tried to destroy my career yesterday. He slumped into a chair, the magnitude of his failure finally hitting him. Why, he whispered. Why not develop it for us? For your own company. It was never my company, I corrected him. You made that very clear. Every time you diluted my stake. Every time you took credit for my work. Every time you called me deadweight, while you flew to conferences and gave interviews about innovation you didn't understand. Dr. Zhang, who'd been quietly watching, spoke up. Mr. Brooks, I believe security is waiting to escort you out. Unless you'd like to stay and watch us extend job offers to your entire development team. That was the final blow. Daniel stood up, straightened his ruined suit and walked to the door. Then he turned back. You'll regret this, he said, but the threat sounded hollow even to him. Somehow, someday you'll regret this. I smiled. No, Daniel. I won't. Because unlike you, I actually built something. Something real. Something that will change things for the better. After he left, Dr. Zhang poured 2 glasses of champagne. To innovation, she said, handing me one. To thinking bigger, I replied, remembering Daniel's words with a smile. Over the next year, everything changed. My architecture revolutionized AI processing across multiple industries. Quantum stock tripled, then tripled again. The technology press dubbed me the silent innovator. The genius who'd changed the industry without anyone noticing until it was done. NeuraTech declared bankruptcy 2 months after the announcement. Unable to fulfill their contracts, crushed by penalty clauses, they became a cautionary tale in tech industry hubris. Daniel tried to reinvent himself as a startup consultant, but his reputation was ruined. The last I heard, he was trying to write a book about disruptive innovation. Ironic, considering he'd missed the most disruptive innovation right under his nose. Most of the NeuraTech team joined Quantum Dynamics, where they thrived in an environment that valued builders over talkers. Sarah became our lead development manager. Tom headed up our expanded legal team. I stayed largely out of the spotlight, focusing on what I did best, building things that mattered. Dr. Zhang handled the public face of the company, which suited us both perfectly. 1 year to the day after the announcement, I got an unexpected email. It was from Mike, the security guard who'd escorted me out of NeuraTech. Mr. Chen, he wrote, I've been working security at tech companies for 20 years. Seen a lot of people come and go. But I've never seen anyone leave with their head held high quite the way you did that day. Now I understand why. Thank you for showing that sometimes the quiet ones are the ones really changing the world. I smiled, remembering that last walk to my car. I'd known even then that it wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. Looking out from my new office at Quantum Dynamics, I could see the building where NeuraTech used to be. Another company occupied it now, probably with their own dreams of changing the world. I hoped they'd learn the lesson that Daniel never did. Real innovation doesn't come from talking about changing the world. It comes from actually doing it. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes while others are looking the other way. But always by building something real. My phone buzzed. Dr. Zhang needed me to review some new development proposals. Time to get back to work. Time to build the next big thing. After all, success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. One innovation at a time.